Chapter 891. Jack said calmly, "Look ahead." "What do you see?" Olivia took a few steps forward before finding herself at the edge of a cliff. Through the forest, she saw mountains in the distance. The snowy mountains seemed to go on forever, and they looked magnificent. Freedom. Yes. As soon as you cross over the ravine and go forth, freedom awaits you. But after getting stopped by Ethan so many times, Olivia had lost her courage. She was scared. She feared that she might get caught again and sink into the endless dark abyss. "Are you worried about him?" Olivia shook her head. "No, I'm scared." "What are you scared of?" "I'm scared that if we fail, you might get involved in this mess. I'm scared of what the future might become. As soon as I close my eyes, I think of Mona's death." Jack's voice was gentle. "There's nothing to be scared of. You've already survived the most difficult times. You shouldn't stop at the present unless you still want to live the life you had in the past." "I don't. I want to change. I want to get stronger. I want to avenge Mona." Reaching out, Olivia caught a falling snowflake. The snowflake quickly melted into a small puddle in her palm. The snowflake knew that it would disappear if it fell, but there were still thousands of snowflakes falling from the snow. There was not a single snowflake that was afraid. "Take me away, Jack." "All right, but you have to give me a few days. I need to prepare. Don't forget Alicia. I have to take her back." "Leave it to me. I'll just get Jerry to escort her back. As for you, don't go anywhere before I come back. Just stay here. We'll leave in 3 days." "Got it." Jack took out a weapon. "Do you still remember how to use it?" "Yes. Keep it to protect yourself. There's a cellar I dug in the pine forest behind the cabin. If there's any danger, take Zach with you and hide in there. I've covered it beforehand, so it shouldn't be discovered." Obeying Jack's instructions, Olivia stayed in the cabin. It was very cold here, but the scenery was amazing. Zach was a boy, after all, so he was quite active. After he woke up, he asked her to have a snowball fight with him. It had been a long time since Olivia ran so freely in the snow. Even though she would be out of breath after running for a short while, she was still very happy. Zach seemed to have endless energy. He dragged her with him to build snowmen next. Olivia built a huge snowman while Zach built 2 small ones next to hers. He pointed at one of them, saying, "Alicia, me, Mommy." Olivia caressed his face gently. "Alicia will be reunited with us soon." "Where's Daddy?" Zach blinked. "Oh, he's dead." Ethan sneezed without any warning. Kelvin hastily went forward, saying, "Mr. Miller, please rest for a moment. Mrs. Miller is surrounded by our men, so she's safe right now. It's snowing here. What if you get frostbite?" A telescope was set up in front of Ethan. It was a professional one that could be used to observe stars. He stood on a high cliff, watching Olivia and Zach playing around in the snow. Of the 2 children, the girl looked like Ethan, whereas the boy looked like Olivia. They were quite different from their older brother. Ethan thought that if Connor knew that he had 2 other younger siblings, he would be elated. But when Ethan thought about his relationship with Olivia, he sighed heavily. He had done this to himself. He regretted it with his entire being. Why would he be so cruel back then? Brent strode over. "I just received news from the island. Norman wants to take Alicia away, and Jack is also headed toward the island. He wants to leave with Miss Alicia." Chapter 892. Ethan stood with his hands behind his back. There was a worried look on his face. "I'm afraid Alicia isn't the only one he's trying to take away. He also wants to bring Liv with him. Liv has always been looking for a chance to leave me, and this is the best opportunity. What do we do? Should we stop him right now? If not, with his capabilities, once he took Mrs. Miller away, it would be difficult for us to track them." Jack had always been a man who lived in the dark. He had many shady ways to disappear without a trace. Of course, Ethan knew that. He was in a dilemma. He had given Olivia too much trauma, and she probably needed a whole lifetime to heal from it. If he forcefully brought her back again, it would only add to her trauma. Their already tense relationship would worsen. But if he had to let go, this was the furthest Ethan could go. If he couldn't see Olivia and had no idea if she was safe, every second would be torture to him. Get her back, but we can't reveal ourselves. Mrs. Miller has already made up her mind to leave. If we don't do it by force, what other choice do we have? What is Liv most concerned about right now? Brent didn't even have to think about it. He answered, Miss Alicia and Master Zack are everything to Mrs. Miller right now. If we want to do something to Miss Alicia, we won't make it in time. We can't kidnap her on purpose, can we? If we get exposed in the future, Mrs. Miller will be mad. Ethan shook his head. No, there's someone else. Everly. Right. Mrs. Miller doesn't have any family members. After Mona's death, she only has her best friend, Everly, left. To Mrs. Miller, they're both the most important people in her life. She has been rushing about for Everly's sake for the past few days. It's not hard to see how important Everly is to her. But Brent was bothered about one thing. But Miss Hilton may not be willing to cooperate. She must be on Mrs. Miller's side. Even if she doesn't cooperate, we have ways to deal with that. There was a vicious look in Ethan's eyes. As long as it wasn't Olivia, he didn't mind hurting anyone else. Miss Hilton has an aggressive personality. If we go overboard, we might get ourselves in more trouble. I know, that's why I'm doing it myself this time. Everly didn't expect to see Ethan under such circumstances. Right after she opened the door, she put on a sullen expression. Why are you here? Did something happen to Liv? She wouldn't think that Ethan was here to visit and talk about old times. Something did happen. Let's sit down and talk. Everly looked coldly at him with a wary gaze in her eyes. No matter what it is that you're going to say, I won't help you if it has something to do with Liv. You're quite smart. Ethan took out a check from his pocket. I just need you to do something for me, and this money will be yours. $10 million. You're putting quite a lot of money into this, Mr. Miller. If it's not enough, you can name your price. Everly took the check between her fingertips. Mr. Miller, I can see that you have high hopes for me. You gave me $10 million just to help you with one thing. Ethan knew that she liked money, so the first thing he produced was a check. He also wanted to make use of this action to test if Olivia was worth $10 million in Everly's heart. I indeed like money, but I wouldn't exchange my friendship for it. Please ask someone else. I'm not doing it. Everly tore the check into pieces right in front of him. As expected, I was right. Everly looked at him in confusion. What do you mean by that? Sorry, that was a prank just now. I'm glad to know that you truly care for Liv. Chapter 893. Everly stared at Ethan in confusion. What exactly are you planning? Ethan got right to the point. Liv wants to leave me. If I have to put up with a demon like you, I'd run far away from you, too. I won't deny that I did a lot of horrible things in the past. But now, I only want to make it up to her. I'm not doing it to own her. Liv has a very powerful enemy out there. How strong are they? Ethan clenched his fists. Even until today, I still haven't figured out their identity. They continuously hired assassins to kill Liv. 2 years ago, on the night Liv gave birth prematurely, the enemy had sent almost 100 assassins to kill her. Liv almost died on that rainy night. Olivia had mentioned those things in passing, so Everly didn't know about those details. When Everly learned the truth from Ethan, she was shocked as well. She couldn't believe that Olivia had gone through so much in the 2 years they hadn't been in contact with each other. After her fake death, I could guess it right away. I was in a dilemma back then. I wanted to get her back. But on that day, I also realized that if I got her back, I would only be repeating the same mistakes. So, I protected her within a range I could control, and I quietly watched over her as well. I swear I won't hurt her ever again, Everly. Ethan had a pleading look on his face. I asked you to help, but it's not because of selfish reasons. Liv hasn't recovered from her illness yet, and her body is still weak. She also has 2 children with her. If she gets into danger, how can she protect herself? Everly had never seen Ethan so humbled before. She remembered that when she met Ethan 4 years ago, he always had a proud air about him. You're her best friend, so you should be concerned about her safety, right? If I wanted to hurt her, I could have brought her back straight away. I wouldn't have to take the long route and ask you for help. Being earnest was the most convincing option. He didn't threaten her. Instead, he used the simplest and most direct method. Everly lowered her gaze as if she was thinking of something. I admire your friendship with Liv. Liv had once waited downstairs for days with Henry just to help you. Now, you're also willing to go so far for her sake. Both of you truly care about each other, so you should know the right choice to make. Everly rolled her eyes at him. Your conspiring friendship with Henry is quite admirable, too. Ethan fell silent. The clock in the living room ticked the time away as it snowed outside. Every single second was torture. But Ethan had always been a patient man. He was betting on his decision. When Everly saw his tightly clenched fists on his knees, she could guess Ethan's current feelings. You should be glad that you came here with sincerity. Ethan's expression shifted a little. So, you mean, I'll help you just this once. Never again. Everly's thoughts were simple. She couldn't think of anything safer than this plan. Ethan might be a bad man, but he sincerely wanted to protect Olivia. They shared the same stance on this matter. They were both doing it to protect the same woman. Even if Olivia wanted to leave, now wasn't the time. Olivia's illness wasn't cured yet, and she had children with her. If something bad happened to her, who would be there for her twins? Everly was much calmer and more rational than Olivia when it came to doing things. She couldn't get emotional at times like this. I'll help you, but you have to promise me one thing. Don't ever hurt her again. Chapter 894. When Jack wasn't around, Olivia had a lot of fun playing with Zach. Zach was much better than Alicia at speaking, and he could say a sentence or two. Olivia and Zach got along well together. When Olivia saw Zach's innocent smile, she began to look forward to the future. Just then, Everly called. Olivia answered the call right away. Everly's anxious voice rang out. Liv, save me. What happened to you, Eve? Olivia was instantly worried. It's complicated. Let's meet up and talk. But, Everly hastily asked, what's the matter? Are you not available right now? I'm feeling very weak, and I need someone to help me. Olivia heard Everly's pitiful voice. She knew about Everly's family situation very well. Everly didn't have any relatives here, and her friends were few and far between. Her body was at its weakest, for she had just undergone a miscarriage. Olivia thought about Everly taking care of her in the past. Then, she quickly replied after dealing with the dilemma in her heart. Where are you? I'll go get you. Everly must have escaped from Henry's home, for she sent a new location to Olivia. Olivia looked at the off-road vehicle still parked outside. It was a little rundown, but it probably still worked. After leaving a letter and contact information for Jack, Olivia left with Zach. It was precisely because she had been through hardship that she would want to help others as well. When she saw Everly again, even without makeup, Everly's face seemed to have gotten much smaller. It was quite pale as well. Liv, you're finally here. As Olivia watched the large teardrops fall, she touched Everly's face. Her heart ached for Everly. Don't cry, I'm here. Everly hugged her, sobbing for a long while. Last time, she kept hiding and enduring it. But now, her emotions burst forth. Hugging Olivia, Everly complained about Henry for a whole hour. If Olivia hadn't covered her mouth, Everly would even complain about how long Henry tormented her in bed. When Everly noticed Zach, who was standing at the side with a confused look on his face, she hastily shut up. Sorry, I said too much. Well, I guess you never change. You're as talkative as ever. Are you feeling better now? Smiling, Olivia handed her a glass of water. I'm feeling much better after venting. Olivia placed Zach onto her thighs. Then, she peeled a grape and fed it to him. She was already quite used to taking care of children. Why did you hold it in when we met that day? Why did you decide to vent today? Olivia asked, pretending to be casual about it. Everly had already prepared an excuse for that. You had just returned then, and I didn't know about your situation. I didn't want to cause you more trouble. Olivia peeled some more grapes. When Zach expressed that he had enough, she let go of him and patted him on the back. Go along and play. Her children were very easy to take care of, and they never caused her to worry. As Olivia watched Zach playing at the side, she said calmly, "It wasn't that you're afraid of causing me trouble. You're scared that I would leave, right? Liv, Ethan talked to you, didn't he?" It wasn't a question but a confirmation. Everly still wanted to bluff, but Olivia exposed her. "Whenever you were trying to lie to me, you would subconsciously look away in case I saw through you." Everly decided to just pull her blanket over her face. "You're a married couple, all right. You saw through each other just like that. What's the point in me bluffing anyway? If you already know that he's behind this, why would you come over?" Pulling the blanket from Everly's face, Olivia said slowly, "Because you're my best friend. I don't mind you lying to me, but I fear for your safety." Chapter 895. Everly's tears had just stopped, but they threatened to fall again. "Olivia, I'm going to cry myself to death at this rate. Forget talking. Give me a hug." Olivia patted Everly gently on the back. "Of course, I know. When we met at first, you didn't want to say anything so that I wouldn't be worried. But today, you helped him to get me back for the sake of my safety. Am I right?" Everly said, "If you've already figured it out, then why would you come back, silly?" Olivia shifted her body away. She was younger than Everly, but she had gone through so much that her mind was much more mature than Everly's. Like an older sister, she wiped Everly's tears away. "Because I want to save you as well. This is the only chance I can get to save you." Everly heard from Ethan about the things Olivia did a few days ago. She didn't expect Olivia to be so concerned about her when Olivia could barely protect herself. "I couldn't contact you before. Tell me, what exactly are you planning?" When Everly thought of Henry, her eyes reddened again. "It's all my fault. I thought I found my one true love. But in the end, I was nothing more than a toy." Olivia sighed. "He may not dislike you. But to him, his love for you is not as important as his status and future. People of their status want wives on par with them. Love isn't important to them. Yes, back then, he had also told me that he only got married to deal with his family. He said that he would always maintain this relationship with me, and he could give me anything other than the position of his wife. No matter how much I like money, I can't be a homewrecker, can I?" Olivia asked, "What's with the child, then?" Everly's eyes turned red again. "I didn't intend to destroy his marriage at all. I sent in my resignation letter early on. I've earned quite a lot in the previous years, and also when I worked in sales back then. He was also a generous man, and I don't like to spend money recklessly. I've saved up enough money that I won't have to work for the rest of my life. I've already prepared myself to be a single mother. But his partner began to cause trouble, and I ended up losing my child." Everly choked. "I lost my child, and I almost died from the severe blood loss. The doctor said that there was a very slim chance of me getting pregnant again. I may not have children ever again. It's okay, Eve, you can slowly heal your body. Also, pregnancy is a matter of fate. When you're fated to be, you'll naturally get pregnant. You must be hungry. I'll make something for you to eat." Seeing how sad Evelyn was, Olivia could only pause their conversation. She made some of Everly's favorite foods. When Olivia was learning to cook back then, Everly was her taste tester. In the early days, Olivia's cooking was horrible, and Everly suffered a lot. Now, as they ate the delicious food, they felt a little comforted. "I can still remember the fish stew you made back then. You didn't scale the fish, nor did you cut it. When you put it in the pot, the fish was still swimming in the stew." Recalling her terrible antics in the past, Olivia smiled as well. "Yes, time flies. My cooking has improved a lot now. Time not only increases our age but our experiences as well. Liv." Everly lowered her head, falling silent. "It's okay. Even the most painful nights will pass, and the sun will rise again. When we have gotten through those days, we'll eventually welcome a new life. Liv, I feel like you've changed. I was just like you in the past. I thought that life was difficult. But later on, I realized that an even tougher life lies ahead. We have no choice but to grit our teeth and endure it. Compared to the people who have lost their lives, we're quite lucky. What do you plan to do next?" Everly put down her spoon. I don't want to be his accessory, nor do I want to be in the dark for life. I don't want to be the homewrecker everyone hates. She gripped Olivia's hand. Liv, can you take me away? Eve, I was waiting for you to say that. Chapter 896. Ethan didn't expect to receive a call from Everly soon after Olivia came back. Liv wants to see you. Ethan sighed. I knew she would catch on. In the snowy evening, Olivia met Ethan once again. After Olivia's fake death, she had been catching glimpses of him in various news. It was only after she got closer to him that she noticed how much weight he had lost. He was in a black wool coat, leaning against the car. In just a minute, snow had piled on his head. Olivia approached him. Why didn't you wait for me in the car? Ethan wasn't confident. He didn't know how much she had figured out. Seeing that she was in a relatively stable condition, he licked his dry lips as he said in pleasant surprise, I wanted to see you sooner. He wanted to hold an umbrella for her against the snow, but he didn't want her to feel disgusted. So, he could only stand where he was, unsure of what to do. Get in the car. Let's talk. All right. Ethan scrambled to open the car door on the passenger seat for her. Because he had matters to discuss, he drove here on his own. Ethan got into the car. He didn't know what Olivia was planning, so he didn't start the car. Olivia had all the power to call the shots. Have you eaten? No, I came over as soon as I received the call. Me neither. Let's go to Lunar Glow Eatery. Ethan hastily called and made reservations. Lunar Glow Eatery was a place that served homemade dishes, and they used to frequent it in the past. With a hand on the steering wheel, Ethan turned the car around. Olivia didn't say anything, and he didn't know what to say, either. It was completely silent in the car. To hide the awkward atmosphere, Ethan played a song. Olivia used to like that song. It was called Destiny. The lyrics in the song seemed to be mirroring their current situation. He drove very slowly. As Olivia listened to the song, she was immersed in her thoughts. The last line of the lyrics, I want to forget you, but I can't. You're still haunting my mind, tormenting me, described them perfectly. When did you figure out that I'm still alive? Olivia took the initiative to ask. Ethan replied honestly, a long time ago. I knew you too well. You won't choose to commit suicide at that time. Keith's reaction during the funeral only confirmed my guess. The funeral, I held it on purpose. I want the mastermind to hear that you're dead. Then, they will give up on hunting you down. Have you been tracking my movements? Ethan nodded. Yes, but I know that you're disgusted with me. You blame me, you hate me, and you're also afraid of me. That's why I didn't dare to get close to you. Were you behind the warships that suddenly appeared at sea? I asked my men to figure out the pirates' location beforehand. Then, I had the warships tail them a long distance away. Olivia closed her eyes. You were involved that night on the ship, too. Yes. So, Logan is your subordinate. Ethan was silent for a moment before answering slowly, yes. I was worried about you, so I sent him to protect you. Then did you know that we... Ethan stepped on the brakes, pulling up by the road. Liv, I know very well about what happened that night. He was trying to help you. Olivia didn't believe it. Logan disappeared as soon as we came back. Last night, Joshua told me that he's dying. Were you behind this? You can't possibly tolerate another man. What did you do to him? Ethan was conflicted. He was glad that Olivia still had no idea that he was Logan, but he was also afraid that she would hate him even more if she found out. But now that things had come to this point, he couldn't turn back anymore. I swear I didn't do anything to him. Chapter 897. Ethan looked at Olivia. There was a hint of red in his eyes. Tell me, did you fall for him? Olivia returned the question. What are you going to do if I fell in love with someone for real someday? Ethan, we're already divorced. Ethan still wore the wedding ring on his hand, which was placed on the steering wheel. In his heart, he had never acknowledged the end of their marriage. Liv, I can tolerate letting you free, but I can't tolerate the thought of you falling for someone else. What if that day comes? Ethan said slowly, I will kill him. For real. Olivia threw herself at him. I knew it. You must have done something to Logan. He's dead now, isn't he? Ethan didn't expect the conversation to take this turn. How could he prove to Olivia that he was alive and well? To put on a more convincing act, he grabbed Olivia's hand. There was a sharp glare in his eyes. So, you met me today for the sake of another man. In reality, he was regretting it with all his heart. He thought, Liv, I swear I'm not mad at you for real. Olivia originally felt that Ethan was too calm when he mentioned Logan. So, his reaction quelled her doubts. I don't love him, but he saved my life. I have to make sure that he's alive. Ethan sighed. Fine, I'll let you meet him. He started the car again and drove to Lunar Glow Eatery. He moved very quickly as he grabbed the umbrella and walked over to the passenger seat. Olivia was covered from head to toe. Holding a black umbrella, Ethan shielded her from the wind and snow. It was as if they were just married. Pausing her footsteps, Olivia stared at the snow from under the umbrella. What's the matter, Liv? I was just reminded of the past. Ethan, how nice it would be if those things never happened, right? She could feel that she still loved him, and his feelings toward her hadn't changed either. They were two people in love with each other, but the distance between them was so wide that they could never cross it for the rest of their lives. The food was delicious, as always. When the owner heard that they were coming, he even gave them a glass of orange juice for free. It was Olivia's favorite drink in the past. Back then, she was as innocent as a fawn. Her eyes were always bright and sparkly. The sweet taste spread in her mouth, but her heart was filled with bitterness. The two didn't speak during the meal. After they were done, Olivia wiped her mouth elegantly. Then, she got to the topic at hand. What exactly are you planning? Liv, I've already found some clues about Colin. But now, the news of your being alive is spreading. It's not safe for you to stay in Aldenvine. I won't ask for you to stay by my side, but you have to at least make sure that you and the children are safe. Can you go to the island, please? It's very safe there. Olivia asked, so you want me to hide on the island for? Yes, at least for now. After I've figured out their identity. As long as I don't appear, they will never show themselves. Am I supposed to hide until the day I die? Olivia put down her spoon. Ethan, I'll be frank with you. Other than Logan, I came here to talk about something more important. I hope that you'll let me go for real. You want me to let go? Yes. Divorce means that we won't have anything to do with each other anymore. You should have your own life, and I should keep moving forward as well. Our relationship belongs to the past. Ethan had a bitter look in his eyes. Liv, you're so cruel. Ethan, we're both adults now. You should know that it's best to leave in peace while you can. Don't tell me that you still believe that we can be together someday. Chapter 898. Olivia's question had hit the bullseye. Ethan could only stay silent. I know that you were deceived by your sister back then, but what happened with the Fordham family was real. It was also true that you have hurt me. You broke my wrist to protect your sister. And even now, I still remember the scene vividly. Ethan said, I'm sorry, Liv. All these things have become obstacles between us. Sorry, but I can't cross over those past grudges and love you all over again. Olivia's tone was very calm today. She wasn't mad. She spoke as if she were reminiscing with an old friend. It's no longer possible between us, so why don't we let go without hesitance? If we stay together, history is only going to repeat itself. The hurt will reach me again and even touch the children. Ethan couldn't retort to anything Olivia said. He said sullenly, I want to see the children. No need for that. I've already told them that their father was dead. If you can't love them, I'd rather you never meet them at all. Olivia said with a calm expression, I've loved you and hated you. But you've also saved me from danger countless times. We can't measure the past grudges and kindness between us. So, the best ending I can think of is to break up right here. It's better than making enemies of each other, right? Why don't we just forget each other? Ethan's heart sank. After everything Olivia had experienced, her attitude had turned unusually calm. She looked like an immortal being who had gotten used to the happiness and sorrows of life. She no longer involved herself in it, and she was always calm and reserved. But he was like a demon who had fallen into the pits of hell. He was obsessed with their past, and he couldn't break free from those bondages. They formed extreme contrasts with each other. Now, he was yielding a lot because it wasn't his last straw yet. But if they ever crossed over the line, Ethan would break free of all restraints and completely turn into a beast. Now, he was hiding his beastly side very well. He feared that he might startle Olivia again. And if I say that I can't do it, what then? Even after divorce, I have a right to see you and the children, right? Ethan clenched his fists tightly. When he thought about a future where he wouldn't be able to see Olivia, he knew that he would break down. So, we can't come to a consensus. Olivia thought that he had changed a lot these days, so he might be willing to let go now. But now, she realized that Ethan's love for her was only increasing. She couldn't understand how a man like Ethan could betray her in the beginning. Liv, you insist on leaving me, but do you truly believe that Jack can protect you and the children? You'd rather believe him instead of me. Ethan stood up, pushing his palms against the desk as he leaned toward Olivia. He was forcefully getting in her face. Liv, how long have you known Jack? Do you know about his background? Or, he isn't your friend or family, so why would he help you? People have ulterior motives when they're being kind for no reason. What do you think he wants from you? Olivia was stunned by the question. Liv, we've known each other for years, and we know each other very well. Yes, you should thank Jack for taking care of the children for us, but are you sure that it's the right choice to leave with him? Even if it's not for you, please think of the children. Do you want them to live a stable life or a life full of uncertainty? Ethan was too skilled at understanding people's hearts. In just a few words, he managed to mention Olivia's weakness, the children. If you came to this point because of me, you should rethink your choice. It has been almost a year since your fake death. Even when I knew where you were, have I ever done anything to hurt you? Ethan was trying his best to prove one thing. Liv, I won't hurt you. Don't be so scared of me that you would make the wrong choice. Chapter 899. Noticing Olivia's silence, Ethan continued, I did do a lot of things that hurt you in the past, and I can't do anything if you insist on leaving me. But other than being your ex-husband, I am also the father of your children. Even in court, I can have custody of them or even visitation rights. Do you think it's fair to strip me of all those rights just like that? When Ethan said that, Olivia's expression shifted. You're trying to snatch the children from me now. If they truly took it to court, she couldn't win against Ethan in terms of qualification. Olivia's calm expression began to waver. Don't be upset, Liv. It was just an example. I didn't mean to snatch the custody rights of the children from you. Ethan hastily coaxed Olivia. I just want to tell you my obligations. I also have the responsibility of protecting you and the children. On the island, you can relax and focus on healing, and the children can grow freely as well. You'll all be safe. Olivia lowered her gaze, thinking for a long while. All right, I agree, but I have one condition. Go ahead. Everly was also emotionally hurt. I want to bring her with me for a change of pace. We can look out for each other, too. Sure, I'll have it arranged. Ethan didn't see the victorious look flashing across Olivia's lowered gaze. It wasn't a bad thing to be overly familiar with him. She could guess Ethan's plans right away. One more thing. I want to see Logan. Ethan had an upset look on his face. Liv, if it weren't for the special circumstances that night, do you think I'd let him live? You want to see someone like that, but have you ever considered my feelings? I just want to make sure that he's still alive. Fine, I'll send you there. After paying the bill, Ethan walked out. It was already completely dark outside. Snow duffed below the streetlights, and it looked extra romantic. Ethan sent Olivia to the hospital. Joshua was keeping watch in the corridor. You're here, Miss Fordham. Olivia hastily asked. How's Logan now? He had dialysis last night, and he's still in the ICU right now. But don't worry, his life is not at risk anymore. Olivia couldn't get close, so she could only peer through the glass. She could see the silhouette of a man lying on the bed a distance away. Olivia transferred some money into Joshua's account. She also told him to take good care of Logan. Olivia didn't have any feelings for this man, only gratitude. After that, she walked out of the hospital. Ethan was standing by the car, smoking. The fiery red flickered at his fingertips. The white smoke covered his face, hiding it from view. He probably didn't expect Olivia to be out so soon. He put out the cigarette right away. Disregarding the snow piling up on him, he held an umbrella and walked over to Olivia. He has already passed the life-threatening stage, and he'll get better after he rests for some time. I told you I won't hurt him. Olivia had confirmed it with her own eyes, so she was reassured. Nodding, she said, "All right. Please take me back, then. Liv, can I see our son?" Ethan had a pleading look on his face. When they were on the ship, he played with their daughter every day. But Zach was a mischievous boy who got separated from him after a fleeting look. Olivia looked at the time. "It's too late. He's already asleep. I'll just take one look at him, Liv." "No need for that." Olivia declined coldly. Since she had decided to walk that path, she would not soften her heart. She wouldn't look back, and she wouldn't hesitate. Chapter 900. Very few people were out on a cold winter night. Because of New Year's Day, colorful lights were everywhere. The whole world looked quiet and gentle. It was painstakingly quiet in the car. Ethan wanted to say something, but he didn't know how to start. Meanwhile, Olivia watched the scenery outside the window, deep in thought. They were about to round a corner. Ethan slowed down ahead of time. Just then, a vehicle from another lane hurtled toward them. Aimed at Ethan's car, it sped toward them with abandon. Startled by the sudden turn of events, Ethan hastily turned the steering wheel, moving the car onto the pedestrian lane at the side to avoid the vehicle. Ethan had already reacted quickly, but when the vehicle sped toward them, it still grazed the side of the driver's seat. The vehicle was a middle-sized truck. With fearsome power, it rammed into their car diagonally, shoving the car even further. The closed glass doors of a shop were right in front of them. The car had gone out of control. Everything happened too fast. When Olivia registered what was happening, she heard Ethan's shout. "Liv, watch out." Olivia's vision turned black. Right after that, she heard a loud noise caused by a collision. The noise almost shattered her eardrums. She squeezed her eyes shut and heard the sound of glass breaking. Ethan had thrown himself at her before she realized it. She only felt a firm muscular wall shielding her from harm. The glass on the windscreen and the door were completely shattered. She felt some of the shards cutting her hand. It hurt, but she couldn't be bothered about that. Because of the intense movement, the airbags puffed out, enveloping her firmly. A moment later, there was no movement in the car. She felt warm liquid dripping on her cheek. Olivia opened her eyes, meeting the gaze of the man right in front of her. His forehead was injured. Blood ran along his chin, dripping onto Olivia's cheek in the end. It was blood. Olivia widened her eyes in fear. Once again, the image of Mona dying flashed across her mind. She looked at Ethan's face. His forehead was injured, and the blood was coming from his forehead. Olivia's eyes widened. The injury on Ethan's face wasn't the worst. Many glass shards were embedded in his back, and he looked like a gruesome hedgehog. He had used his body to shield her from the glass shards. "Ethan, how are you feeling?" There were gunshots outside, but Olivia couldn't register those sounds anymore. Her whole focus was on Ethan's bloody body. Her body was secured in place, so she couldn't move. She could only watch as Ethan's blood dripped onto her face, trailing down her chin and then slowly tracing the line of her neck. I'm fine." He forced a weak smile at her. Then, he reached out and slowly caressed Olivia's face. The back of his well-defined hand was also covered in glass shards. But he didn't seem to notice them as he wiped away the blood on her face. If I died, would you shed a tear for me?" Olivia's whole body was frozen. Even at that moment, she couldn't believe that the man covered in injuries was the Ethan she knew. To her he had always been something akin to a deity. How did he turn out like this? Her lips quivered subconsciously. She wanted to do something, but she was powerless. It was just like that time with Mona. They had used their bodies as a shield to protect her, yet she could only watch as the scenes unfolded before her. Tears streamed down her face. "No, you won't die.